Hello and welcome. I'm Kevin Orris, your host. This is another interview in the Primal Polarity series. Today I'm bringing on long-time brother and amazing mentor and peak performance coach, Dan Ballard, out there down under. And he's going to come on and we're going to have a conversation today about a lot of things, probably about masculine and feminine polarity, around life and how to navigate leading and surrendering in love and also in your business. You know, they're very connected. I know Dan's a powerhouse in business. I'm going to invite him on here. We can go all over the place. So if you're watching this live or later, if you're watching it later, type in replay. But if you're watching live, do comment where you're tuning in from. If you have questions, if you have something you want to share, drop it here below. So grateful that you're all choosing to be here with us. And yeah, this is going to be a good one. I can feel it. There he is, the man. Can you hear me, brother?
What's happening? Hang on. Yeah, just got to adjust my frame a little bit.
Yeah, bro. So good to see you.
4 years it's been since we've done a live.
Has it been? I think on here,
Well,
but didn't I interviewed you in 2020, right? On my podcast.
We're podcasters. We haven't gone live.
That's true. Okay.
I'm excited because it's a chance for us to interact with people and expand this dialogue.
Yeah, man. I love it. Wow. 4 years since we've actually been live. I see. That's wild, bro. 4 years feels like 20 years.
Yeah, I'm looking a bit old and ragged after the last 2 years.
Oh, Dan, amazing to see you, man. And I would love for the folks that don't know you and your work, how would you introduce yourself? Share with us what you're about.
My name's Dan. I'm a dynamic leader. And essentially what I've done is I've built a life around the things that I guess have lit my life up and made me become alive. And that's inspired a lot of changes in my life. And it's also helped me build a lot of skills. And those skills I now teach them to lots of different populations of people, but particularly more recently to do with men. I really feel like possibly why we're having this dialogue, this conversation again, is just the space of masculinity and what's evolving for men at this point in time. I think it's very important. I think it's where a lot of our energy is best placed in terms of creating impact, not just for men, but actually for women as well too. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I base all of my stuff around. Sorry, I'm getting all these notifications, guys. So I place a lot of my focus around self-leadership. So essentially, it's intentionally guiding yourself in a desired direction, maintaining a conscious relationship with yourself, and it's all about how you lead your life, how you set yourself up. And you spoke about, I think I caught a bit of a conversation about what I do as well in business and important role in business. So that's kind of how I've transferred into business. Yeah.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that, brother. And I love that you're doing more with the masculine now and that work. And, you know, for you, whether you're doing like straight up men's work or you just had male clients, or you're like, you know, I know you've worked with a lot of different folks, like athletes, business people, etc. What is the number one struggle men face that you've noticed in 2022?
2022, it's got to do with, I think, for a lot of people. I'll answer that, but what I will speak about is, I think for a lot of people, they've had their safety blanket and their ideal reality pulled out from underneath them. And what that's done is it's revealed gaps in themselves, in their life, it happened for me too. So for a lot of people, they've been awoken to the degrees of which they are actually unconscious, underdeveloped, underskilled, in a time that is helping us to develop skills and abilities for us to move forward, hopefully in the right direction as a collective. So for men, I think a lot of men, the biggest problem they face is the conflict between how they need to show up in a new world in service, but also the conscious that they feel and face, particularly in relationship. I think relationship's been a big thing. I've had a lot of personal transformation in my relationship with Katie. in this space as well too. I've been through my own hardships and our challenges, but I've never felt so loved and so loving and capable than I ever have in my whole entire life in any other relationship I've ever had. So it's been a tremendous opportunity, but I also understand a lot of people have been facing a lot of hardship and struggles within themselves to meet the demands of what's going on around them. It's the control. People have lost the control, and that's a good thing. But you know, this is a test of the character. This is a test of the time.
Well, they've lost the illusion of control, because the fact is they never actually were in control of everything.
Sure.
I mean, you can control your response and your training and your discipline and your inner world to an extent. And that's all of our journey, especially for the masculine. That's huge.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, yeah, your comfortable life and comfort zone and job and relationship and all that, that's all gone as soon as world shuts down in 2020. And now we're navigating still in that, you know, like there never was normal. It's not going back to normal. Just a lot's being revealed. And I think you nailed it. And everyone I talk to that's in the space, whether you're a coach, consultant, mentor, healer, whatever, personal trainer, anything that is working with people personally, this is the across the board response, what you just said.
Absolutely.
A lot of people have just woken up to just how it's humbling, just how not in control, in mastery, in maturity they are. And that's super important. Like that's natural, and it's a gift, like you said. Like we want to know that, and we want to work on that. It just sucks if you thought, or you know, your friend group or your whatever colleagues are reflecting back to you that, oh, you got it, you got it under control, it's all good, you know, whatever. It's like, oh, rug pulled, right? Rug has been pulled.
Sure. Not just in the crypto market, in life.
Right. That's a whole other thing right there.
Maybe the next life. Yes. So yeah, I really like that. And just to expand on that, you know, I've saw that you've titled this conversation "Peak Performance in Relationship." So yeah, when I didn't know this, I popped on. I thought, oh, here we go. So what I want to offer in this direction is that if you can't feel free in relationship, you can't be free in any other area of your life. And this is perhaps my biggest teaching as a man in my latest evolution and grounding in myself, was that I had no idea, after many, many years of personal development work and spiritual maturation, that I had this underlying unconscious fear of commitment. And what I did learn about that underlying fear of commitment was it was actually a fear of responsibility. And that was of meeting my deepest, darkest pain, which was something deeply unconscious, ancestral even. But I really feel like sharing a bit of that might be of use, because I see this common pattern when I'm working with people, men, and also in relationships with my female. I still work with females as well too. I have all of my one-to-one clients at the moment are all female. So it doesn't necessarily, and I notice this as well too when I teach my yoga classes, that, you know, as I do open up about masculinity and about balancing masculinity for growth forward, that it actually, because the poles and the nature of reality, and yeah, it helps a lot of women too. So I don't know. Do you want to open that one up with me? Yeah,
I love this. This is the core masculine principle, as far as I can tell. And you know, I'm been in this stuff for a while, and now like I'm like coming forward and really teaching this stuff forward facing. Core masculine freedom and desire is to be free, but that's through commitment and through responsibility. And that's the mind fuck for a lot of men, is that just like Jocko Willink and David Goggins and all these hardcore bros that are ex-military are like, you know, suck it up, discipline equals freedom, discipline yourself, right? Train and do all this stuff. And there's wisdom there, because until you've created a boundary condition or limited yourself, you're not going to be free. No. Like you think you're just free and everything's open and free. It's like swimming in an ocean without a life preserver, without a boat. You know, you're just swimming. It's just pure freedom. You're going to drown. You're going to exhaust yourself. There's no boundaries or limits. There's nothing to hold on to. That's an oceanic experience that can be amazing in small doses, right? That can be a healing experience, but that's not how you want to live. You want a ship. You want a sailboat. You want a canoe. Maybe you want a battleship. You want a way to navigate the chaos and uncertainty, and you're going to do it through limitation, right? That's how a boat works. It's floating on top of this huge chaotic energy. And a lot of men, I think, when they want power, they want influence, they want love, what they don't realize is that the more they commit, the more they can accept responsibility and influence. And commitment requires limitation, which is freedom.
Yeah.
I think I lost your audio there for a second, Dan. I don't know if it's your microphone.
That's okay. I was received.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I've got a call. I didn't put it on the airplane mode. Yeah. So where were we? Absolutely. You know, I have a lot of frameworks I teach. I think I caught like glimpses of what you were saying as you were introducing me. As I said, like I've occupied many spaces, but I have lots of different frameworks in lots of different areas. But you know, with the masculine stuff, I have these masculine revival codes, and the very first code is actually number one is decide and commit. That's the first step. And I think a lot of men, but also, yeah, I say a lot of men, they do decide and commit, but the commitment that they make is quite wayward. It's actually, there's not much introspection applied to their commitment. And I think they haven't really asked themselves the deeper questions like, why am I looking so hard for things outside of myself? Like, what's the end goal? What is enough? You know, because this is the thing, this is the cycle, this is where a lot of men go to die in their to-do lists. I think I spoke about this as well too on a podcast before, but a lot of men go to their to-do list to die. And I've certainly been there myself. You know, I only wrote a post yesterday about this, about, you know, in my first year of business, I made 6 figures. And at that time, it was peak of the hustle grind culture. I was a great box ticker. But when my relationship fell through, my fiance at the time left me, and I was left with an identity crisis. Whilst grieving, I got to know my deepest, darkest pain. Oh, hang on, there's a shadow side to my personality. Hang on, there's something here that needs to be integrated. I don't have these necessary skills to navigate what I'm thinking and feeling, and I'm stinking. And I think for a lot of men who may have done the work, is for the longest time it's been okay to sort of focus outward and accumulate outward. But when that gets taken away, like I said, with the rug being pulled, you are now turned inward. And I think that's where, I don't know if you'll agree, but I think I witnessed this in the collective. A lot of people are now inward, but the ones that are truly outward and thriving are those who have applied themselves through introspection in that direction. They've decided and committed, whether that be in a physical practice, whether that be in building like a conscious business, or whether that be just in, for the peak performers I work with, mastering their crafts. So I don't know if you'll agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of wisdom there. I think hustle culture and just the culture in general, which worships things and material and the appearance, right? Which is great. You know, obviously money doesn't solve all your problems, but it does solve all your money problems. It's fucking amazing. It's leverage. So a lot of people chase that from the masculine. And I see this with women too. You know, women are having a renaissance right now in the coaching consulting space, just crushing it. And a lot of my clients one-on-one are also women. And this is what happens is what they learn to do is to follow or track or commit outward towards a goal or outcome. Even if their process game is strong, right? There's like goal orientation and there's process orientation. Both are important. And you can balance that, but the real challenge is when you achieve your goal. Just like getting rug pulled, you're like, oh shit, I'm not who I thought I was. When you achieve your goal, when you catch the thing, catch the rabbit you're chasing, now what? That's where I see people go into the inward too. It's like their own rug pull of wish fulfillment. And then they're like, oh fuck, why was I doing this? Why are my relationships failing?
Yeah.
And what I also heard you say, Dan, which is a big one with folks that are really successful in business, do they trade business success for relationship success? And that's why I love this idea of peak performance and intimacy. Why don't we take that as seriously as income or, you know, building a company, right?
This is going to sound a bit savage, and I you know what, I
go savage,
like,
bro.
Do I want to bring this topic up because it's very polarizing, it's very pressing, and I kind of like hate feeding into this, but I noticed you followed Andrew Tate, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah. And I'm going to preface this with there's a lot of perspective, a lot of polarity that we can draw on from this, but yeah, something I want to talk about is going into a relationship about freedom and about understanding. Where do I want to take this actually?
So
We'll
real
leave
quick
that.
on Andrew Tate, I'm following him actually across platforms. I'm on his, like, so many people are posting his stuff right now. I'm following some of these channels because this is some of the best market research right now,
Yeah,
cutting edge
yeah,
in August 2022. Like, you want to get triggered, learn about polarity, learn about
yeah.
influence. Not that I agree with, even like 5% of what he says. Holy
Absolutely. That's
shit,
what I
in
reference.
terms of
Yeah,
research, man.
yeah. Just the way I think, like, define genius. I've had this conversation with actually one of my physical coach. He, he actually spoke about this. He might be on this live as well too. If Ben's watching this, or we spoke about this, and define genius. Like the guy set up a fantastic, like the way he's owned the algorithm and how he's done it, like to get his message across. It's for me it's genius. Whether you agree with the way it's marketed and what he set up. Anyway, what I really appreciate about it is it's created polarity creates life. We might have the extreme left, which we see almost what this is about. Like we're on this, I like to call it leftogram platform, and then you got and then we got extreme right, hard right. But what I love about what happens between two peak conflict areas and I guess the hysteria, the conflict that emerges is we find the middle. And that's where I like to sit. I like to stay impartial to both sides. And I notice myself, I have a tendency to lean to the right. Whereas, but it doesn't necessarily mean I shut down my entire view of what's happening on the left side because it's divisive, essentially divisive end game consciousness for me. It's like I'm all about journey consciousness, and like we need to stay as impartial to that as we can. But I think a lot of people like with this, it's a great polarizing effect it's created in society, and I think it's I think it's actually really, really good for men. I think it can be quite toxic for certain parts and aspects of it, but as I said, we as a society, we have proved this time and time again through history. We'll find the center, and that's where the power lies. Like we've got to remember that all poles lead back to the middle.
Yeah, I love that you're bringing this up, Dan. And if you want to
Yeah,
look at, a metaphysical or like archetypal layer, which I'm a geek for,
I
Andrew
love it.
Tate
Yeah,
is the natural emergence of the huge cancel culture woke mob.
mm-hmm.
Why do you think he's so viral? Like people are like, he's toxic masculine, he's being
yeah,
investigated for like, human
yeah,
trafficking and shit. And I
yeah.
don't pretend to know the truth about any of that. Like, I don't know.
We don't, and yeah,
But
that's the thing.
he's appearing right now on the internet and going buku viral because the other polarity is rampant. So he's literally a
Exactly.
balancing force. You think he's going viral because he's paying for ads everywhere?
It's
Most of
this
it's
polarity.
organic. I mean,
It's this polarity that sits right deep in our gut. That whether we like to admit it or not, there's a truth to some of the things he says that hits us in our gut that we've forgotten. Oh, hang on. Even things like, oh, wait, hang on. The government was originally constructed to work for us. It's working against us. Oh, I need to remember this. He just pokes and he'll poke and he'll poke and he'll poke and he'll poke. It's not just like, here's a poke, I'll see you again next week. It's poke, 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 poke. Uh, Very fascinating. And I love, yeah, I did watch the whole interview you did with Pure Jaguar. I really like that in terms of,
so
yeah, there's
good.
so much wisdom, so much knowledge in that. So yeah, I sat there, I was in the garden, I was like, oh, something's telling me, my intuition's telling me to bring up Tate with Kevin. But yeah, I mean, I bring up that for that point, for that polarizing point between me in the middle and, being, for a man, being present to what is happening, not being easily led astray. I watch so many men get led astray, essentially, and it revealed a lot of people who thought they were leaders. And then when it came time to really lead, um, you know, unfortunately, they cowered. They cowered. They had a sense of cowardness come over them, and it revealed actually the way the character is constructed. Now, I'm not pointing the finger saying that was weak or that was wrong. I'm just saying that's exactly what it was. And for a lot of people, like that's what the times revealed character. I think that's a fantastic thing, and I'm glad it happened. It revealed lots of my character as well too. I got caught up in the hard right, and I started judging people. I started disconnecting. As soon as we judge, we disconnect. It's the same in relationship. All of our human relationships. The moment you judge, you disconnect from source. You disconnect from that center. So yeah, it's a great time to talk about, and this is why I think it's so disrupting with relationships. Like the times are disrupted because our relationships are evolving as well too, as the world does, in this information time period where we've actually gone from wisdom to knowledge. Now we're transcending into information time. People are overwhelmed. People are underdeveloped. They don't have the capacity to meet the demands of their life, the demands of their life that they once had. So when it comes time to be present in a relationship for a man, which is the ultimate power is being present, we don't have that capacity, and it's deeply, deeply challenging, and it's very unsettling for a lot of people. And this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of people suffer in this way, and beautiful things are ending. For hopefully, bigger things to come together, because that's at the end of the day, it's what happens in relationship. It points out a degree of unconsciousness, and it gives us an opportunity to step up and to form that wholeness and meet the unity of the whole. Does it not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the why you would seem and study polarity, right? Or practice it. Why is the art of polarity, or why is, take right or left or masculine, feminine? What's the point? Well, it's to master it. It's to master paradox and be comfortable with discomfort and those energies. And this is, to just hone in on the part of the masculine experience here. And I'm curious, anyone watching live, is this stirring up anything? Like, let us know in the comments. Someone's got to be watching this, and it's like, they talk about Andrew Tate. Like, I love that, yeah, I love that you brought that up. It's something I've kind of I haven't spoken about it yet publicly, which now is inspiring me to do it more.
Great.
This is just, we need to have these conversations, and I'm not judging the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. This is a collective thing. It's a collective issue. We need strong masculinity. What's happening in the culture right now? Single mothers, boys aren't being initiated. Our leaders are failing us because their masculine frame and leadership, just by their actions. Fuck the theories. Their actions are showing us, wow, this isn't working so great, folks. What's the solution to all those? What's the dots connecting? Strong masculine leadership. Done. That's it. That's why men's work is surging. That's why women are crying out, where are all the good men? Where are the men I can trust to lead me and to love me and to be intimate, like you're saying, like, and actually come into union and not judgment, division, and polarization, the bad side of it.
What I also appreciated as well too, like, I think in this time is that for the longest time there's been this outcry of the good men story, and the times are also revealing, I guess for women, like I've seen this as well too, like it's also revealing, do I have the ability to surrender? Do I have the ability to accept my innermost nature, my strongest whole, that is my life force, that is infinitely more powerful than the masculine when you think about it. Like they have the gift to create life, and that in itself is something to really like not avoid, and not to get too swept up in the tasks that I guess men naturally can occupy, like in a beautifully balanced relationship. Like, so yeah, this is something for me that, I mean, we've had conversations, I think, about relationship before, but I don't think I've ever been in a space where I have actually, things have opened up, and it's like, oh shit, like I actually, like I've loved these women before. I've been deeply in love, but then when something so real hits your life that it makes you better in every way that you can imagine, and it supports you like beyond your shadow, to the point where you get scared shitless, like it wants to fight for survival. You go from being so attracted to someone, full body yes, to you're meeting someone who you know is like your equal and is just a beautiful thing for your life, and it scares you out. It's a full body no, because the shadow's fighting for survival. So in a way, that's what happened to me, and I'm just so grateful with my partner Katie. I don't know if she's on here, but she'll be definitely watching if she's not. That I'm so grateful that she was so like, it was the completely wrong time to meet her, but the fact it was her made the right time. And little did I know that was my initiation into the next step of my life, and in my own personal growth was, wow, there's actually now this is here, Dan. Like, this is the fear of commitment. Well, let's look at this. Oh, that's the fear of responsibility. And it pokes at you, like it reveals to you like so much about like where you're playing small, where you've actually hid, where you're hiding your voice, your ability to hold the feminine, hold space, to be like undivided in your word, to say what you mean and mean what you say, which are all very important things that I think a man needs to find in his life, to have that conviction, that presence, to make the impact he actually longs for, which we talk about, like Andrew Tate, whether you like to admit it or not, that creates polarity, and it creates a challenge for the masculine, because it awakens parts of you that you may have not understood yet, may have repressed desires, and you don't stand and own that. And it's important to talk about it, whether you want to agree or disagree. Like beyond the subject of it, the object of this is to understand, hang on, there's parts of me now that I can awaken for my own potential, for the betterment of my relationships, for the betterment of humanity, and also for the awakening of, pure masculine.
Totally. What's wild, Dan, is I've never met a man or woman who didn't want divine union. Period. I've had people say that they're done with relationships, they want to be celibate, etc. But when you work with these people, or you are in powerful spaces with them, and you get down underneath all of it, everybody wants it. I'm sure there's yogis or nuns or monks out there that have like vowed celibacy, they want to be with God. That's amazing. I think it's a small class of people that's for them. Fuck yeah, I support that. That's amazing. Everyone else, where are you going to feel, you said it, like as a man, as the masculine, where are you going to feel the best? Talk about peak performance in all areas, emotionally, financially, physically, mentally, sexually. It's when you have a powerhouse feminine that you're relating with, and you've created a container together, period. You're not going to thrive as a lone wolf, right? Look at evolution and history for millions of years. We're the result of men and women navigating life together in times where if the man wasn't in his masculine hunter protection provision, you died, you starved. And if the woman wasn't in surrender and deep nurture and social awareness and in her heart as an oracle, nurturing children, being in her feminine power, you died emotionally and the tribe suffered. So I look at this stuff very practically, Dan. This isn't like some cool retreat to go on in Bali. Exactly. This is like this is key.
It's grounded in science. I was just trying to play like, who's Joe Rogan's little side man that pulls up all the data and stuff?
Oh, what's his name?
Jamie,
pull that up.
Yeah. So I've tried to play a bit of a Jamie role, as well as trying to hold the space for this conversation, trying to pull up statistics, because it's well studied. It's well studied that there's headlines here. I'm trying to find the data for it, but we probably haven't got time for that. But in a happy, long-lasting relationship, like the key factors are that people who truly thrive and are happy, they have these supportive, nurturing, and progressive relationships. Like, I think that's the biggest thing, is like being able to, for the man to be able to like help his woman open up and provide safety for them to move forward together in union. Like, that's the ultimate spiritual test. And I feel like a lot of people, like, they identify in the spiritual space as like, essentially like with a crystal up their ass and every affirmation they can share under the sun. But if you're not ready to do that, like, this is the ultimate spirit. Like my Katie, she's the ultimate spiritual test for me. And I can say to you, like, now, like, undivided, that I could not let this in, because I'd be against every one of my values to seek my higher self. Like, that's where I was at. It's like, I can't let this go, because it's making me better on every level, even though I'm scared shitless, and it's scaring parts of me that are inadequate and have been abandoned and maybe possibly aren't enough. Like, I can't not let this in, even though this wasn't what I intended, even though this wasn't, what I saw coming, even though this isn't ideal for me right now. I'd be an absolute idiot to run away and cower away from this opportunity. Right. And I think that when it comes down to deciding, committing, that's why I made that the fundamental first principle of my 12 masculine revival codes. That could be deciding, committing to, if you don't have a romantic relationship in life, it's deciding, committing to things that light you up, that you have a passion for, that you have followed inclinations from your intuition that these signals you've had in life just aren't random. Like they're connected to your purpose. You follow those and you commit to those, even if it hurts.
Yeah.
And that is because it's like otherwise without that, like without this anchor, this something that grounds you, like you'll be wayward. And that's the space where a lot of men suffer with, because they lose that ability to stay at their center and to let their heart stay open. So we close and then we seek outward for the things that we long for internally.
Yes. And then you're not self-sourced. It's an inside job. So if you're not living inside out, outside in is tricky, because now you win and lose. Expectations and attachments are going to be externally programming you, which when it's a mentor or a hierarchy or elders, that's actually really valuable, is to open yourself up to that. But how many of those do you see in corporate, Hollywood, news, government forces? I don't see many that I would want to be programmed by. This is where I'm really concerned about. Yeah, the woke mob and canceling, because like fair enough. In recent years, I have leaned right, because I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Like the left used to be like, hey, like we don't want a bunch of control. We want peace, love, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Like in the 60s, in the Cultural Revolution, the left was cool and actually like, wow, they were aligned with the earth and they're aligned with freedom of expression. And now it's like it's flipped. Like the right is the one that's like, hey, what happened to free speech and like no censorship? And that's the mind fuck to me, is like, that shows you that it's really just, it's Plato's cave. If people haven't read Plato's Myth of the Cave, that is what we are experiencing, right? And I'm not, it's too long to go into it, but go check that out. That's what politics is. Plato knew it, 2,000 years ago.
You got one bird, two wings, and the organization, the enterprise, profits off of the division. So yeah, without going too far into it, like that's what we're looking at. And you know what? Like it's very confusing. I don't know. Like people are saying 100% in the comment section. Like it is very confusing. I think that's what a lot of people. And I hand on my heart with this. Whether you like, not to play the side game, whether you lean left or lean right, like I'm here, and I feel for you, because there's a lot of divisive stuff happening, and a lot of confusion. And I think even my friends who do have like left-leaning tendencies, and they have great ideas. Like some of them I don't even disagree with. Like they've actually enlightened me a lot. But there's a cat just jumped up on the table. Katie's cat's just jumped up the table. I was going to put him down. Hang on, guys. So, do you see him on my? Did you see me chuck him up on the store? I bought him a mane. Did you see that?
No.
I've got to send.
Full live mode.
It's full like, yeah, I bought it on eBay and I just put it over his head. Caddy turned up home and he's just looking like the Lion King. Anyway, yeah. I'm going to send you this. But yeah, coming back, like hand on my heart about this is like, it's a confusing time. Even a lot of people like have woken up to the idea that they've been misled, they've been ill-informed, and that these people that were painted in such a bad light, and we should hate them, we should project at them, they are out to kill us. Like they're also going, wow, okay, like I can see the hypocrisy, and I'm willing to say, I like, help me understand what you're experiencing, help me understand what's going on. And I think there's so much power there, and there's a lot of people that are doing that. Like everyone's saying, I've seen the argument, like they'll never say sorry about us anti-vaxxers and all this stuff, but it's like, no, it's actually happening. And whether that's directly said or not, people are coming back to the center again. I think this is the beautiful thing. When we go so far one way, the wrong way, like we eventually pull ourselves back. And this is something that's also beautiful about humanity. Like our species are insane. We're mad. But the beautiful thing is when we start to lean left and right, we go to two extremes. We always find the middle. And through history, we have done this. We've always found the way. And I fully trust the process of it all, of this time period, even though it is uncomfortable, even though some of it doesn't make sense. It's actually very confusing, and there's a lot of hysteria. If you can hold yourself and get to know yourself and ground yourself, you'll be absolutely fine, and you have nothing to fear.
Yeah. I love this. This is such a valuable conversation, Dan, and this is a different kind of polarity. to focus on, but I think it's equally valuable. Meditative monkey. This is interesting, and thank
That's
you for
that's my
this.
that's my strength and my mind coach. Yeah,
Nice. Playing with
yeah,
categories such as left and right keep us trapped in the game. What
yeah,
might happen if we consciously resist the seduction of tribalism of any kind? Um, on a metaphysical or like zoomed out enough level, I agree with that proposition. The trick is the only way out is through.
hmm,
And I'm open to being wrong on this. How can you transcend the game of duality because you're in it, whether you like it or not, without going into it and through it? And I'm not saying you need to go extreme left or right. What I am saying is that, you know, you need to understand where you stand.
yes,
And specifically speaking to men who have masculine core essence, and that's where they feel best, you're going to have to go all in on that. On the
yeah,
masculine feminine side, left right is a whole nother thing, but
yeah,
the game where you get trapped is that, yeah, you get locked. Like tribalism is very dangerous, right? Because you get locked in. A huge thinker on this that I've gotten into over the last year, and like his stuff will blow your mind, is Rene Girard. Look up Rene Girard and his theses on tribalism, the mob, scapegoating, and mimesis, right? Mimesis is basically the science of desire. Not memetics. Mimesis is like basically, oh, I want it because they want it. And then how this plays out and
yeah.
how we scapegoat in tribal communities. That's what brought up for me. And Dan, before we wrap up here in like 5-10 minutes, you know, what do you see as specifically for the masculine beings in relationships, so specifically as applied to intimate relationship, where do you see the puck going for, you know, let's say someone's more on the dating side, right? They've either just met someone or they want to meet someone.
Sorry, can you reiterate that again?
So basically, what would you say to a man who is listening to this, wants to work on his masculine, you know, even if he got rug pulled, slash is just met a woman and he's like, you know, how you're sharing how you feel about Katie, which is also how I feel about my partner now. I'm just like, holy shit, like I'm getting rocked, all my bullshit's coming up, and yet I'm so much better in this relationship. What would you say to that man
Unfortunately,
who's like a few steps behind on that journey?
yeah, I'd say to him, look, this is a good question. I'd say there is no true learning like experiential learning, experiential knowledge, and like I think there's a lot of advice. I'm, I'm back now. I should be back now.
Yeah, there
Um,
we go.
yeah, we're in a time of information overwhelm, and there's a lot of information flying out there. There's a lot of people, a lot of advice, but like you said, like you got to know your direction, you got to know yourself, and the easiest way to start to find your power, to reveal these parts of yourself that may need to grow and evolve, to connect the head to the heart, so to speak. Like your personal freedom and your breakthrough, it lies on the other side of what you're avoiding. Your personal freedom and your breakthrough, it lies on the other side of what you're avoiding. And that is a question for you. Like I can't answer that for you. I also can't prod you for it. Like you'll know it. It's something that triggers your self-esteem. It's something that it's where you feel small. It's when you feel least you're in your power. And my advice is to lean into that. You know, this is the next step to deciding and committing. Is the next step in my masculine principles is actually conscious improvement. So hopefully you find a space, a relationship, or something that allows you to lean into those parts of you, um, where you're not free, to evolve that part of yourself and to feel safe to be able to do that. I think that's a big thing. It's just like women crave safety. I think for the man as well too. Like we also long for that as well too. Like it's safe to express our manhood again because it's hard out there. There's a lot of forces at play that we may not be aware of that are actually telling us, do not be a man.
Right. There's a war on masculinity, straight up. There's a war
Yeah.
on femininity as well, and there's a war on them uniting and actually becoming a superconductor of intimacy and power in the community. And I don't pretend to know why that is, or even who's at war. But
Yeah.
again, study the science of cause and effect. Look at the actions and how things are moving, and you can just discover that for yourself. And it's really fucking, it's disturbing to me. The good news is that as soon as you stop buying into the
Yeah.
bullshit, you
Yeah.
know, you're only limited and enslaved if you are consenting to that, right? This is the Hegelian dialectic. For those that don't know, you know, there's a master and a slave, and they actually are trauma bonded.
Yeah.
That's the mind fuck of it. Is like, if you like being oppressed, you'll find an oppressor, and if you like oppressing someone, you'll find someone to oppress. But you know, this is kind of the third or fourth way, which, you know, again, Meditative Monkey is alluding to, and we're kind of getting to in this conversation. You got to find a place in yourself where you can stand with leverage. And, you know, like what you're talking about, deciding and committing for the masculine, huge. Conscious improvement, looking at your blind spots, shadow work, huge. Can you do it alone as a lone wolf? Not a chance. That's where this all comes back to. Got to have community. You got to have male brothers that are going to call you forward, and call you up, not out, and be like, hey, brother, this is not working for you, and here's why. And it's just like, you got to receive that.
That's my third principle, brother, is strength and connection. And this is a conscious selection. This is like, you know, something that I have a lot in my area right now. I have a lot of very strong masculine figures who are conscious, aware, and awake, and definitely in their power. I've never, where I'm from, like, I've never seen that before. And, you know, I play a leadership role in that space, and I'm very proud of it, but I also feel so damn supported by it. Like, when you find that connection, a space where you can discuss where you're falling short, where you're maybe not living up to your edge, where you're feeling insecure, where the challenges are in your relationships, where the fallbacks are in your business. Like, when you can have that space with other men and you receive direct, like, criticism or insight from another man, and you're able to receive that and integrate that, that is optimal experience of true manhood. Like, you're starting to lead into your true power. And that's reflective of how, you know, how in light you are as a man and how strong you are as a man, is to be able to directly receive masculine energy. And
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, brother. Dan, this has been fucking epic, man. And yeah, people can obviously go follow this man if you're just meeting him. He's a legend. I definitely recommend working with him. And, you know, what's most alive for you, Dan? Is there any new offerings or anything hot off the press that you want to share?
It hasn't dropped yet, but places actually are filling behind closed doors. If you go into my bio, I have a direct me, and this direct me has lots of, like, really cool little offerings. There's some free stuff, but the most powerful thing coming up that I am so fucking excited for, when I get back from, I'm going to Europe, and I'm having a great time over there with my love. It's been a dream of mine, and when I get back from there, I'm opening the Prosperity Mastermind, the Gentleman's Round. So yeah, we can talk about that. I'd love for you, Kevin, to actually come into that space. We'll talk about how we can line this up as a facilitator as well too, at parts of the curriculum. Yeah, because just like you said, I love you, brother, and I appreciate you inviting me in for this chat. Yeah, man. For those who are unaware, like, I first met Kevin was it 2018 at International Tribe Design, and Kevin actually, like we said about receiving masculine energy, when I met Kevin, and his wordplay, his ability to articulate himself, express himself, his knowledge he held, like, it triggered me, but it also deeply inspired me. I think ever since that event, that was the moment that I needed, that light I needed to look at, to feel, experience, and see the power of it, to then find that in myself. So since then, I've become a lot more deeply articulate with what I say, how I say it, how I write. It's you know, and I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but it's been you, Kevin. I think from that moment that really transformed me. And yeah, even I said to Rod, like, I said, Kevin's going to transform how I go about what I do. And he's just like, yeah, man, he's a boss. Like, so, and it did. We spoke about that a year ago, and he's just like, yeah, because even Rod's like, the transformation you've gone through, like, yeah, you said you were going to do that. You said you're going to use that power. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, brother. Wow. It inspires me, man. And it's so funny how the mirroring works, because just like you might have been admiring my magician, I was looking at you and Rod, especially you, because you're built like a tank. And I'm just like, fuck, this guy's like a warrior, you know, like I need to work out with this guy. Like, what's he eating? How does he lift? That's the funny thing. Is like I had my exact opposite version of that, where I'm
Wow.
looking at you physically and I'm like, damn, this dude is a beast, and you know he's clearly a high performer physically, and I'm like, fuck, I need that. That's like one of my blind spots,
Mm.
and yeah, it's just I love hearing that, brother, and I love you, and I'm grateful for you, and yeah, let's talk offline.
Yeah.
This has been amazing. For those listening, you know, we're going to post this, so nobody freak out. This is going to be saved, posted. Come back and listen to it, re-listen, and tag somebody or share this out if something's been valuable. I mean, we went there today. We talked about some
Yeah.
heavy duty lifting, and
Yeah.
grateful for you, Dan. This has been epic.
You too, brother. I'll see you soon. And yeah, again, thank you.
Let's keep on keeping on here. Beautiful.